engineer. Engineer Monsura Abimbola Dudumi Alagbe.
Alagbe, you're right.
You know, Yoruba can be really funny. We'll talk about that later. Engineer Alagbe, good morning. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
When was the last time your hand touched oil? Black oil. I don't know palm oil, vegetable oil, and
real, like maybe paraffin.
Engine oil, paraffin.
I use it everywhere because my grandmother stays with me. So there's no, when I need just at the tip of my finger, she will provide it.
Wow.
So there's nothing like.
So I'm actually directly asking.
You know Adagbon? Yes.
I'm actually asking when the last time it was you went to the field. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, look at me. See, because everything my grandma is always, the field is part of me. Yesterday I was
on field.
Yes.
So what kind of engineer are you? Mechanical, civil?
Thank you. I'm a civil structural engineer.
Wow.
So the field is my home, my second home. Let me put it that way.
So you climb buildings.
Scaffold, I do. I do. Oh, you're looking at my tire, right?
No, your
even
leg.
If I'm in skates.
Your leg.
My leg. No,
no cuts, no no cuts, nothing like that.
Because it's always safety first and always. That's one thing about engineers, and that is always at the back of our mind. Subconsciously, we're in it. The safety first. Whatever I want to do, just think of you have to get back to your family intact. Not all about work. So how do you do that? So you keep the safety at the back of your mind. So whatever I want to do, this is not the shoe that we use. Likewise, this is not the dress. I have to put on my working jacket, my safety boots, my headgear, and other safety gadgets. So for
before you start climbing.
Yes.
And the work. We're talking about the stress buildings here in Lagos today, and it's been a popular topic for a while because we've moved around the city of Lagos. I think there was a time on the Bumper Breakfast we even dedicated time to looking at area by area, and we went to Ilelembi, Ketu, Ikosi. We had buildings that were like this. 3-story, 2-story buildings. We had buildings that were standing, but you would know that the ground floor was already sunk into the ground. There's so many kinds of buildings that should not even exist any longer in the city of Lagos. I'd ask you, is it that the government has not been doing enough to chase them away from these houses, or to break down these houses and demolish these houses? Or what exactly has emboldened people to continue to live in the stress buildings?
Well, thank you very much for the question. When we say distress, everybody knows what it is from the simple word distress, that the particular thing is in pain, is weak, has been overstretched. That is the word, distress itself. But when you look around Lagos State, normally this distress we are even talking about is a natural thing. But for something to have been created, for a person to have been born, it has to go through aging. So it now depends on how you manage, how one manages it. So that's what will make it to be a disaster or abatement. When I say abatement, I mean maybe you want to remodel, put it back into use, because all these buildings, even all these areas you're talking about, you realize that there are areas that have been existed for like over 100 years. So when I say 100 years, definitely those properties, they're aging already. They are do not take care of them. And when you talk of government, my own side, from my own side, the government you're talking about is you and I. Is whatever I want to happen in my community that will send the message across to government. Government has been doing its own parts. But the other part, which is the government, another government, which is myself and yourself, is getting the information across to the people that can actually enforce this, which is the main government that all of us normally refer to. But when we see, because I see, I don't talk, because he's my brother, because I'm his sister. I'll be doing something that's out of it, but I will not take it to the right authority.
Because I don't want to structure demolish, you said, and I think you can say that louder.
Yeah, because I don't want.
It looks as if you are creating havoc, causing havoc. Being evil, being intentionally wicked. When you say this is an anomaly and should end.
That is the word, being wicked. I see it as wickedness, I could rightly put it. Because when I know the normal process to take, because like we agree, building, they must deteriorate. Mm-hmm. Then how do I make sure that by the time they get to their service life, but there's always service life of a property of a building, by the time they get there, they do not collapse. We're able to capture it without causing any effort to property and to lives. Then how do we get this done? That is when you and I come into being. Because by the time you go to authority in charge of maybe the house is going out of service life, and I go to authority that I want to renovate. Mind you, the word renovate. When you say you want to renovate, definitely, I want to repaint. Maybe the paint is fading off. Okay. I want to repaint. By the time they give you the approval to go and renovate, you get there, you're adding floors. You are reconstructing. You are remodeling. Two different things. Because these two, renovation, remodel, reconstruction, they have different requirements entirely. If you want to remodel, to add, you have to know the integrity of that property. Can you still take another load? Is it okay to add load or to kukuma bring it down and start afresh? But you will give wrong information to the authority that you want to renovate. But whereas you are adding floor, a bungalow, you say a bungalow is already 3-floor structure. Definitely something is definitely wrong from the footings. I mean, the
isn't it then the job of the government and officials, the government officials and the civil servants in that department to not just give approval and sleep? Shouldn't they go back to confirm that the approval that was given was actually followed to the line? I mean, why would I tell you, give you approval to paint, renovate, maybe change windows and doors, and then you go there, you did not go to the door, you broke down a whole wall, and you made 3 shops?
Yes, thank you. That's where enforcement comes in. And I tell you, I give it to you now. Government does that. But like I told you, we have nooks and crannies. I'm very close to you. I know when you start the havoc. I know it. I'm part of it.
When you begin to create the problem.
When you start the problem, I know it. But I have to whistleblow. That is just the word. When you see something, say something. That is the
mantra right now.
The campaign now. Because I know when you start this thing, before it gets to the level that it will now cause the problem for the whole community, I should hint the government, because government goes around. Let me be frank with you. Like last year alone, over 250 buildings were demolished in Lagos alone, and over 7,000, if I'm right, over 7,000 buildings were captured by this enforcement team because this particular building is distress, evacuates. But before you know it, me, when I see you going there, instead for me to send to the appropriate quarters. No, this is happening. I hope it's not illegal development. I hope it's, and I tell you, if that is sent to government will not sleep. They will not sleep. Most of these people, they practice this havoc during weekends and public holidays.
And nights, overnight.
And nights. But I tell you, when government gets this information that, this is all things happened at this particular place, they move out.
I have a question for you.
All right.
Okay, there was a time my grandmother's building, let me say, our structure, they came to test it and they brought some equipment, and the equipment was telling how many years this structure has been in existence, blah blah blah. But then you made mention of service span.
Yes.
I want to remodel my structure now, or I want to renovate the structure. How would I know the service plan for my structure? I want to know before before choosing to remodel or renovate my structure. And another question is that if I choose to remodel my structure now, is there a plan that you can't do more than 2-story buildings? You can't do more than you can't have more than a bungalow on that same land or something? I have something.
Thank you. I'll
ask
the question, but let me start from there. Let me start from National Building Code. Okay. Fine. There was need to have National Building Code. Everything we're doing in our construction field, we'll be able to apply Nigerian factor to it. That was why, and luckily enough, 2007, it was signed up into law. But this building code we're talking about, there are parts within it, right from administration. that is where, when you want to remodel, you want to renovate, or want to do whatever construction, you move to the right authority, administration part. This part of the state I am, how many height, what height can I go? How many floors can you go? Maybe you're having a bungalow, and you're now told that you can go 9 meters. That's 3 floors, ground, first, second. Then that means you can decide to do remodeling. But mind you, that administration part, that is it. You've asked and you've been enlightened. That now comes into technical, that professionals. You just don't give
a contractor money or start buying block.
Yes.
Remove your roof.
Yeah, you do it right from the inception so that you end well when you do it right. So you now get the professionals. Oh, I have a bungalow. My grandma has wheeled this out to me, and I need money. I want to make it 3 floors. How do I do? They will not be able to tell you right from the geotechnical investigation, the soil, the bearing capacity of that soil. Will it be able to actually take the load you're bringing down? If they're able to do that, comes now the engineer and the architect. So engineer will now be able to say, okay, for it to be able to go, what kind of footing do I need? Foundation, which one will be able to carry it so well to transfer the load to the highest part of the soil? Because it's not even the foundation that is carrying the load. It's just a medium to transfer the load to the highest stratum that God has created. Because everything natural, definitely to go to natural. So that just, so the engineers, they're able to tell you that, okay, for this type of soil that the geotechnical man has given us the results, this is kind of foundation that you'll be able to have to spread that load they're bringing. So nobody can tell you that you cannot remodel a bungalow to 3 floors. You can, but the right thing has to be done. Analysis has to be done. The analysis, the parts, the way I'm bringing the columns, where I'm bringing, will they be able to carry that load from the roof down to the wall, to the slab, to the beam, to where it's taking the load? So when that is done, my dear sister, you realize that even the district we're talking about, the property will not just age like that. And mind you, maintenance culture, that's another thing.
Do we need to maintain our buildings? That will be the question. I'm living in the building. People do say that, ile manwo, because people are no longer living in it. They say people living in the house is a maintenance for the house. That's the general acceptable one.
Thank you. But you can normally, when you're living in your house, cannot just be there. Sweeping is part of it. When you're sweeping, there's some, there may be cracks. When you're sweeping, you're putting the sand back into where they're supposed to be. I'm not saying that that's the right way to, but I'm saying that even you living there, why Yoruba says that because they know anyone will not just be there like status. And you will be putting one thing or the other to make that.
But madam, you have not answered my question.
I'm going there.
The service span.
Yes, I'm going there. That is where the civil structural engineering comes into being. Because now it's a residential building. When it's a residential building, there is a factor that they use. Because normally a building, let's say minimum of 50 years, a building must. So now, by the time you do you want to add load to it, they will do tests. We call it NDT, non-destructive test. You don't have to destroy that before you do the test. That's non-destructive test. And when you do it, they'll be able to tell you that, this particular element, the compressive strength, because we normally use the strength of the concrete, that's the to determine the strength, that is still okay. For you to add, you have to introduce some columns, which you people call pillar. You have to introduce some columns to so that they'll be able to raise it. So definitely, it has a number of years that it has used. For you to still meet up, they have to retrovit to strengthen it. That's what I mean, retroviting, to strengthen it. But that will be done if you have given the right information to the administrative officer.
In the first place.
Yes, in the first place.
So it means everything is like a chain. It goes from here to this one to this one.
Everybody, I mean. When I say everybody, I mean from the clients, from the establishment. I conceive an idea. I want to have a commercial building. Move to the right place. To the developer, constructor that wants to build it for him, go to the right place. To the suppliers of materials on site, because you discover that nowadays these 60 bars, the reinforcement rebars we use.
Yes.
By the time you use vernier caliper to actually check the diameter, it's less. So it's less than that, and that are being used to actually design to know that within this column it's only 4 irons you should put there that will be able to carry it. But when the 4 bars to use is 16 mm, Now, the standard that they have reduced it before it gets to our country, they've reduced the diameter. So what are we saying? Definitely, it's not that strength that we're expecting that
we got.
So the suppliers also, they have to be, a kind of stakeholders arrangement meeting. Oh, this is what you should expect if we ask you to bring this particular material. This is what we're expecting from you. Anything less than that, we're not taking.
It's not acceptable.
And if it's not brought into the country as well, nobody will buy it from them. Nobody will see something substandard to buy. So that's why I say it's all of us.
It involves everybody.
It involves everybody.
Wow. As we begin to round off this conversation, a couple of weeks ago, a particular building came down at Ebute Metta area of Lagos State. And quite a number of people came out and said, hey, Africa Magbe. And after that building came down, the government decided to act on what they had identified earlier. You said they identified about 7,000 buildings that were distressed, and then the government decided to begin to break down and, the extremely, distressed ones. But still, the people living in that area, kept complaining. They kept talking. They kept complaining. What does what does the government expect of us? Where did they want us to go? Some claims they never saw the notice. Some notices would have been given to the landlords, and then the landlord never told the tenants. Some maybe just paid rent and moved into such buildings. What should a tenant do when he or she wants to rent a house? We've been talking about developments, the owners. Yes. What about the tenant? Because sometimes the landlord builds the house. He doesn't even live there. It's the business. And when these buildings collapses, the people who feel the brunt are the tenants. What then should these people do?
Yes, from there, let me come this way. There's nothing at all, no matter the amount, that surpasses the life. Life matters. Whether I'm a tenant, I'm the contractor, the landlord, or government, as the soul itself, the life, is the most important when we're talking here now. The so-called tenants, I learned that there's a kind of program government is trying to put in place that each building must go through certification. That is certification of fitness for habitation. If each building has that kind of documentation, when you want to, like abroad, it is done. When you want to maybe rent they will send all the documents that particular structure, property has. This kind of documentation I'm talking about now from government now, that's fitness for habitation. The tenants, the will-be tenants, will see all this. But because this part of the country, I will not say it is poverty or whatever. It is not. It is individual thing. Whether you have the money, you don't have. It is inbuilt to you that you appreciate, you cherish life, and you cherish your own life as well. So if things like this, yes, government is doing a lot, but there's always room for improvement. I will not take it away from government. They're doing a lot, like this situation I'm talking about. So we, individual, we public, we should try to make findings. We shouldn't be too lazy about our lives. There are many things to find out. It doesn't take you anything. I'm in Ikeja now to walk down to Office of Physical Planning in Ikeja. They will give you all the details you need to know about this building. In fact, there is an app they have now. You can click on the app and you get information about whether it's PFS, petrol filling stations. You'll be able to know whether they have documents, whether they're
otherwise
the address.
Yes, you'll be able to know because there's supposed to be some distance before you have another PFS. Yeah. So you know the one that is legally built, the one that is illegal. So if we, as individuals, as residents of the Lagos State, because I'm telling you, in the old federation, this state is actually doing a lot. You can't take it away from government. So if we now do our own part, I want to rent a house in Surulere. Okay, let me check all the houses in Surulere. Just speak before you know it. And if, like I said, I still come back to that, myself and yourself. When we say something, we say it. We don't cut corners. We don't encourage them to cut corners because that is what happens majorly. Let me tell you, my sister Mariam, Baba Monsura, they know Baba Monsura to have been in this profession for long. He has been. He built one in Kokoroju, he's still standing. He should come and do it in Surulere. He's the one. I don't need professional.
Right.
But you forgot that Baba Monsura, that place that he built that was Ikorodu. The soil type is different from Surulere. And this soil, even a meter apart, you can never get the same thing. Because it's so heterogeneous in nature. Soil. Once you get here, you
It's
can
different.
move 4 steps away. It will be pretty different. That is why you have to get it right from the beginning.
Wow.
I want to say a big thank you to Engineer Alagbe, who joined us this morning on the Bumper Breakfast. She's the chairman of